Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I thought I would share a list of things that I think all Frenchie owners should be aware of in order to properly take care of their Frenchies. Just a disclaimer that I'm not a professional in any way. I'm just a fellow Frenchie owner, and I've had my Frenchie for 3.5 years now. He came to us when he was 3, and these are just things that I wish that I knew and that someone had told me when I first got him. This list of things isn't in any particular order, but I have put the most important thing first. So first up, we have IVDD prevention. French Bulldogs are prone to IVDD, which stands for Intervertebral disc disease. It's a genetic condition that means that their spinal discs can age much faster than their actual age, making them prone to slipping discs. To help prevent slipped discs, I recommend not letting them jump on or off any furniture like beds or sofas. So for example, my Frenchie sleeps in the bed with us, and as a result we actually have bed guards all around our beds, and that's to prevent him from jumping off when he's in the bed with us, but also to prevent him from jumping on the bed during the day when he might want to have a little snooze and I'm not kind of monitoring him. I do actually have beds all around the house though, on the floor for him, so like dog beds, so he does still have a comfortable place to snooze during the day. I also block off the sofa when I'm not using it, but basically it just means that when I'm not using it, he can't jump up there and then, jump down when I'm not looking. When we are using the sofa, he is allowed up on the sofa with us, but what I do is I have a tether and I have this really lightweight harness for him. I'll link both of them down below. And I basically put him on the sofa myself. So I pick him up, put the harness on him, pick him up, put him on the sofa, tether him straight away as soon as he's on the sofa, and then that way he can kind of relax with us and he can't jump down. And obviously I adjust the tether length so that it's not too long that it lets him jump down, but there is enough space that he can move around and get comfortable on the sofa. If we stay at an Airbnb, I actually take 2 of the home harnesses and 2 tethers with me. And what I do is when he's sleeping on the bed with us in an Airbnb, he is tethered to the bed somehow. Sometimes we stuff the tether kind of behind the bed frame, and because it's got a loop, you can kind of make a loop using the clip. That kind of works quite well for us. And it's only for a few days, and I find that he can generally sleep, well, not generally, but he can sleep wearing his harness and tether in the bed with us, and it just prevents him from jumping down. During the day at an Airbnb, I'll put like our luggage on the bed or something like that to stop him from jumping up, and then also on the sofa I have a tether just so that if I'm moving around then he's not able to jump up on the sofa and then jump down again. So that's how we deal when we travel. I have tried using the ramps, but what I found is that he didn't use them consistently. So even though the ramps were there, he would still jump up and down off furniture. So that's why I find that this system of using a tether at home or when we're away, as well as bed guards on our bed at home, works the best. The second thing I wanted to cover are steps and stairs. Frenchies should never go down a step or a stair, and anything over 5 centimeters is considered a step or a stair for their backs. So as an example, we live in a flat, so we don't actually have any stairs in our home, but if we stay in an Airbnb where there are stairs, I block it off at the top and the bottom, either using luggage or I do have some flexible Amazon kind of outdoor gates that I'll link below as well. So that just blocks off the stairs in a home that we're staying at. We also carry him down any steps when we're out and about on his walks. So what I do is I might let him go up 1 or 2 stairs, because going up is not as bad as going down. But even if it's the curb, because a curb can be higher than 5 centimeters, I will generally carry him down the curb and carry him down any steps that we come across on our walks. I also, for safety, if I am carrying him up flights of stairs and I'm worried that I might not be able to hold him or he might wriggle or something like that, I always have a harness on him. And sometimes I also take one of the leads that I call a tether, and I basically wrap it around my body and I clip him on so that even if he fell out of my arms, he is still attached to me via his harness and tether. I also have a backpack for him, and this is so that if there's so many stairs, so for example, we live on the 11th floor, so if we had to evacuate, I'm not sure I could carry him down 11 flights of stairs. I think my arms would get tired. So I actually have a backpack that I can put him in, and so that just means that he's safely on my back or on my husband's back if we're having to go down lots of stairs to get down from, to evacuate a building or something like that. He's also never allowed off lead anywhere where there are steps. So if we stay at an Airbnb, we always look for a property that has a garden that is on one level. If there are some steps to get onto the garden, we block them off using those flexible green fencing panels that I'll link below. But otherwise, if there are steps, then he always stays on a lead so that he can't run off lead and then jump off something. The third thing I wanted to cover is how to pick them up. So it's really important when you pick your Frenchies up that you keep their backs horizontal and you're not picking them up like this so that their back is vertical. And that's because if they are vertical, then it puts extra pressure on their discs and it can again lead to slipped discs. It's actually better not to pick up your Frenchie at all unless you absolutely have to, like going up and down the stairs, just because whenever you pick them up, there's a risk that they might fall, there's a risk you might trip. And so I try and make sure that his feet are all fours on the floor as much as possible, except for when I'm picking him up and down furniture or, to get up and down steps. But yes, so when you pick them up, it should be just like how they're standing when they're standing on all fours. So their paws are facing towards the ground and their back is as straight as possible. The fourth thing I wanted to cover is using a harness. So it's really, really important that your Frenchie always wears a harness. A Y-shaped harness is the best. I will link the one we use below because it's amazing, because you can tailor it exactly to your Frenchie's size. It's really important that they never wear a collar or a slip lead. That's because a collar will put additional pressure on their spine, again leading to slipped discs, and also because Frenchies don't have often they don't have very good breathing apparatus, and so it can also restrict their breathing. The fifth thing I wanted to cover is what to do if your Frenchie does slip a disc. So if your Frenchie does slip a disc, put them into a crate immediately to restrict their movement. The crate should be big enough so that they can turn around, change position and stand up. If your Frenchie doesn't usually have a crate, then I would recommend just getting a crate. They fold up nicely, and just having one in your flat should the worst happen. Then take them to the vets as an emergency at any time, day or night, and ask them for a referral to a neurologist. If they don't give you a referral, keep asking or take them to different vets until someone gives you a referral to a neurologist. It is important that they are seen by a neurologist at the latest by 24 hours. Anytime after 24 hours, even if they decide to do surgery, can do permanent damage to their spinal cord and their ability to move the legs. So it's really important that you see a neurologist as soon as possible. Once you get the referral from your normal vets again, ask for some gabapentin for pain relief, and then ring the referral hospital and ask them for the earliest appointment available. If they don't have one on the same day, which they hopefully should do if yours is an emergency case, and if your dog is showing signs of lameness or anything like that in their legs where they can't move their legs, then they should see you on the same day. But if it's not an emergency case where maybe they're still able to move, but they're just in pain, they might need to see you, in a few days. But just ask to go on their cancellation list and just, try and get the earliest appointment, whatever you do. Signs of IVDD include lameness in their legs, holding their head down, so not wanting to move their necks, reluctance to run or jump, reluctance to do, you know, their wet dog shake that they do after they get up from lying down a lot, and also screaming out in pain. They're all signs of IVDD. In order to take them to the vet, put them in the crate and carry the crate, maybe you'll need 2 people, into the car and strap them into the car that way. Or I would have a dog pram. You can pick one up for as little as £50. I would just have one folded up in your flat so that you can put them in the pram and then take them to your car. And then that way you're not having to carry them to the car. I know of people who fell over whilst they're carrying their dogs, especially in the winter when it's slippery. So that's how I would take them to the vet. And of course, when you're at the vet, you then put them back in the crate or the pram and then walk them in, just so that they're contained and not moving. If they need to go for a toilet break, you would either carry them in your arms, if it's not a long walk, from the crate to the garden, if you've got a garden, or we live in a flat, so we put him from the crate into the pram, then we take the pram down in the lift, and then we wheel the pram to somewhere where he can go potty. And then you generally only let them walk about 1 metre squared to find a place to do their business. We walk him to a patch of grass, and then as soon as they've done their business, gently pick them up again, put them in their pram or carry them back into the crate, and then gently put them down. So that's how they would do their business. If your dog is lucky enough to heal from a slipped disc, maybe through surgery or through crate rest, and these are all things that your neurologist will explain to you how to do them when it's appropriate to do surgery or crate rest. But if your dog is lucky enough to be able to walk again after a slipped disc, then they might develop a strange gait. We found our little one developed a strange gait, and he's scraping his feet now when he walks. And we live in London, so there's concrete everywhere and he ends up hurting his feet. So we have got some shoes for him that I'll link below that protect his feet from getting all scratched up. And he also does regular physiotherapy and hydrotherapy to actually improve his gait, strengthen his muscles, and also help him to become more aware of his feet and where they are in the body, which is called proprioception. The 6th thing I wanted to cover are walks. So our Frenchie goes on 4 10-minute walks a day, and because we live in a flat, those are his potty breaks as well. Generally, if he's going to walk for more than 20 minutes, so if we're going somewhere that requires walking for 20 minutes, we will put him in a pram. We've actually, because we use the pram regularly, we've actually invested in some Pet prams. We've got 2. We've got one that's the Adventure and one that's the Allure. They're both not that expensive. I think they're about £200-300 max, maybe £200. You can sometimes get them in a sale. And they've been great. They are really good because my dog sometimes tries to lunge out. We at first had a Paw Hut pram, which is the one you can get for about £50, and it actually ripped open and he jumped out, and obviously you can't have that. The Pet prams are amazing quality. I'll link the ones we've got below. So we actually put him in that, and then we just go around. We've got a little sign for his pram as well to explain that he's got IVDD. That's why he's in the pram, because he's a disabled dog, just because we found that people gave us weird looks. But I just think it's worth it for protecting my little one. So if we ever have to walk for more than 20 minutes, then he goes in the pram. In really hot weather, it's really important to keep your Frenchie as cool as possible. That's because when it's really warm, their throats can actually swell, and that can restrict their breathing. So whenever it's like warm enough that I'm feeling uncomfortable, or I see him panting or something like that, I instantly cool him down. If I'm out, I just pour a bottle of water all over his fur. If I'm at home, I put him in the bath and I just rinse him down with kind of, lukewarm water, cool water. And it's really, really important to keep them as cool as possible. If we're in a car, we did go to France and we were stuck at the crossing at the to get into the tunnel. And what we do if we're in a car and we can't have air conditioning on all the time is we've got cool vests as well. So you just wet the cool vest, you keep the vest wet. We've got a cooling mat to put under him and a cooling bandana, but it's really important to keep your Frenchie as cool as possible in the heat. Okay, another thing I wanted to cover is their allergies and their skincare. So our Frenchie actually has environmental allergies, so that means that it can't be taken away or solved using diet. So what we found works really well for him are monthly or 6 weekly cytopoint injections. You can get them at the vets. They cost about £130. I think. I don't usually take my Frenchie to the vet or pay the vet bill, so I'm not 100% sure. My husband thankfully does that for me. Yeah, so cytopoint injections have been amazing. They stop him from licking his feet with, you know, allergies. They stop his other allergies like around his folds, his ears, everything like that. They've been absolutely amazing. So I really recommend cytopoint injections. And also with regards to cleaning their folds, if their folds look to be red, slimy, or sometimes you can kind of smell, you can like just put your hand on and smell it, and if it smells, then it suggests that their folds might be getting an infection. So what we do is we use this one called wrinkle paste, which I'll link below. And out of all the ones I've used, I found that the wrinkle paste is amazing. It seems to stop anything developing in its tracks. And I don't even need to use it every day, actually. I use it like just when it looks like it's gone slimy, and then that seems to heal it up. Then I want to come on to food and digestion. So I've seen in loads of Frenchie kind of Facebook groups and things like that, that people think that it's really normal for their Frenchies to have really smelly farts and flatulence, and that it's just normal, that's what Frenchies are like. I have found that that is absolutely not the case. When I got my Frenchie, unfortunately, he was like that. But what I did is I got him on a diet that now works for him. We went through all of the really expensive fresh food diets like Different Dog, Years, Butternut, you name it, we've tried it. But Marley Bones as well, I think, was another one. But what we find works best for him is the Royal Canin Frenchie food. It's a dry food. I know that might be a controversial thing, but it works best for my dog. He doesn't fart that often now, but when he does, it's not even that smelly, and his poos are nice and firm. So that's what we'd recommend, is to find a food that works for your dog. And if you imagine, if you were so bloated all the time and farting, you would probably have stomach pains, and that's probably what they're feeling when they're on a diet that makes them feel like that. So it's really important to sort out their food. If you suspect they've got an allergy, you can go to your vet and they can put them on hypoallergenic food, and you can reintroduce foods that way. But if you're okay with dry foods, if you don't mind the fact that lots of people will come after you if you say that you use Royal Canin, my dog is barking, then I'd recommend trying the Royal Canin Frenchie food. I actually feed him 3 small meals a day, and I actually put his food into little puzzles for him. So like snuffle mats, little puzzles that he can hit, Kongs and things like that, just to keep him occupied and to, you know, make it a little bit fun for him throughout the day. In terms of their ears, because they've got big ears, they are prone to infection. So one of the things I found is do not give your Frenchie sweet corn, because when I gave my Frenchie sweet corn, he actually developed an yeast infection in his ears. But what I do to maintain his ears is I use some wipes that I'll link below, and I use them about once a week, and then I also use a wash maybe once every 2 weeks, just to maintain his ears, and that seems to work for us. In terms of their eyes, because they have big eyes, they are prone to eye ulcers, especially if something scratches their eyes. We went through that with my little one. It took absolutely months to heal. It it was not very nice for him because it is painful. So what I would recommend is don't let them put their, when they're sniffing and they're out on their walks, don't let them put their faces into like spiky bushes. And also, because what happened with ours is that our toddler scratched our little one's eyes. So if you have little like toddlers or kids, then I would recommend keeping their nails really, really short and obviously watching them at all times. Yeah, we just weren't able to stop him from scratching his eye that time. But it's really important to stop ulcers from getting from occurring in their eyes in the first place, because once they occur, it can be quite hard to heal. The other thing I wanted to cover is teeth brushing. So I actually maintain my Frenchie's teeth by rubbing toothpaste onto his mouth, onto his teeth, and then I put a small amount of toothpaste on a chew. I'll link both toothpaste and the chew. And their toothpaste is enzymatic, so just rubbing it on their teeth actually helps to break down their plaque. And the chew is like brushing the plaque off as well. My husband actually does brush his teeth using a dog toothbrush, but I don't do that. And I think you have to find something that works for you, works with your routine, and that you can do every day. So you can't use human toothpaste on them. Never ever do that, because that's got ingredients that's toxic to them. You have to use dog toothpaste that's enzymatic. And yeah, and I find that that's helped maintain my dog's teeth up until now. The other thing to consider is BOA surgery. So we had our Frenchie for about 3 weeks before we got him BOA surgery, and it has been life-changing for him. It has been life-changing for us. I think it cost us about £2,000, which isn't actually that much if you consider how life-changing and how much the quality of life improvements that he can get. And I will come on to vet bills later. But what happens is that Frenchies are obviously bred to have really flat faces, and that means that their soft palate actually grows down their throat, and they also often have really pinched nostrils. So BOA surgery cuts off the excess soft palate to open up their throat a little bit, and it also opens up their nostrils, and it stopped my little one from snoring all the time. It means that he can go on longer walks. It means that he can cope with heat better, and it also just means that he can just have a little run around without really struggling to breathe. So I would really recommend that. And the other thing is that if you don't get BOAs done, then there's a risk that their windpipe could collapse when they're older. And so if you want to keep your Frenchie healthy for longer and not have them suffer when they're older, then it's best to get their BOAs done as soon as possible. Your vet will be able to advise you if your Frenchie needs BOAs. And if your vet is not familiar with Frenchies, then I'd recommend going to one who is, to get that second opinion. Okay, the other thing I wanted to cover was how I keep my Frenchie entertained. So I said that I put out food puzzles for him 3 times a day. He loves sniffles, so he just loves snuffle mats. And one of the things I'll show you on the video is that I've got like an old bed sheet, and that's probably his favourite snuffle mat actually. So I do that 3 times a day. And the other thing we do is when he goes on his walks are his walks. So he goes wherever he wants to, and he can sniff to his heart's content. So that's another thing we do for entertainment. Other than that, my Frenchie loves cuddles and scritches behind the ears and belly tickles and just our attention. So he gets that during the day and throughout the day. You shouldn't play tug of war with your Frenchie, because again, it tugs on their necks and it can cause a slipped discs. And you also shouldn't throw balls for them, because it can cause them to slip discs and it can cause injuries, and also because they can't breathe very well. Doing that kind of high intensity exercise is not going to be good for your Frenchies. So I would basically recommend regular short walks like I covered, so 10-15 minute walks a day, maybe a few times a day, food puzzles, lots of scritches, and taking them on sniffaries, which are walks where they can sniff to their heart's content. In terms of leaving your Frenchie home alone, they are such companion dogs. They're actually bred to be companion dogs. So I would actually recommend not leaving them home alone at all if you can. If you absolutely must, then maybe 1 to 2 hours the most. I also think that, you know, their lives are much shorter than ours. We are their whole world. Why would you get a dog and leave them home alone for long stretches of the day? I don't want to waste any time with my dog, but I think if your dog is able to stay at home, just don't waste that time with them. Keep them with you so that you can enjoy it. And basically what we do now is we only go wherever dogs can go. And it does really restrict what we can do, obviously, when we go out as a family. But, you know, that's the lifestyle we are choosing to lead, and it's totally worth it for us, for the happiness that my dog brings to our family. In terms of holidays, my dog comes on holiday with us. So it does mean that we can only go wherever we can drive, because obviously you can't go on flights. I would never put him in the cargo, because I just don't think it's worth the risk. But, you know, perfectly fine to make that sacrifice. There'll be time to travel after he's gone. I travelled loads before I got him. This is a season of our life when we do holidays in the UK and France and places like that, and I'm completely happy with that. You can of course leave them with a dog sitter, but because of his back issues and you have to be so careful that he doesn't jump on and off things, I just don't trust leaving him with anyone else, because I don't think anyone will be as careful as I would be, and that's just my choice. So he just basically goes on holidays with us. Now, coming on to vet costs and insurance, if you haven't got a Frenchie and you're thinking about getting a Frenchie, I would say really consider whether you are financially able to have a Frenchie. Every time my dog's back goes, it can easily cost us up to £15,000 to cover the MRI, the surgery, the hospital stays, and the drugs and the physiotherapy and hydrotherapy afterwards. I find Frenchies so expensive. I don't know whether all dogs are expensive like that, but I would say at all times you need to have £15,000. If you don't have it in savings, have it in the form of credit cards or a loan that you can take out easily. I remember one time someone said to me they're happy to take out loans and they'll just work an extra year and retire a year later to cover the expense of their Frenchie, and I thought that was so lovely. So that's how I see it as well. But if you don't have like that much money to spare, I really don't recommend getting a Frenchie, because it's not fair to get them and not be able to offer them the quality of life that they need. And they also just need like regular maintenance. Like even when his eye, you know, his eye ulcer went, we probably spent about £2,500 with referrals, regular vet visits. You need to go quite regularly to get them checked out. They have to do tests to see how the ulcer's healing. You need to see specialists. All of that, yeah, it's so expensive. He once had he's allergic to Metacam. So he once had the anti-inflammatory when his back went, and it affected him really badly. He had really bad gastrointestinal from a Metacam injection. So he had to stay in the hospital for 5 days. That cost us about £5,000, including all the x-rays to find out what was going on with him. You know, and like the meds and things like that. So I would basically say always be prepared. Think whether you can afford a Frenchie before you get a Frenchie. I know that some people have insurance, but what I'm hearing is that insurance prices are going up and up. They can be £500 a month sometimes. £300 seems quite standard. And then also, if the worst happens, like something big happens with their eyes or with their back or something like that, I find, especially on Frenchie Facebook groups, a lot of insurance companies are finding excuses not to pay out. So think about whether you can afford to spend £300 to £500 every month on insurance. Find that the insurance won't cover your vet bills and then still have to pay vet bills on top. I think even if I could choose again, because we didn't know anything about Frenchie, so we didn't take out insurance for ours. But even if I could choose again, I think I'd rather save up, as we're doing now, to look after our Frenchie, because I just don't feel like insurance is worth it a lot of the time. That's my own personal opinion. However, if you are someone who's had positive experience with insurance before, you've had dogs before, and you think it works, then yes. If you don't have those kinds of savings, then please have insurance for your Frenchie. However, be prepared that insurance might not cover everything. Okay, so in summary then, in terms of looking after a Frenchie, I would say the number one thing is no jumping on or off furniture, no stairs ever. Use a Y-shaped harness, not a collar. Keep them cool in summer by wetting their fur and making sure that they're not hot enough that they're panting. You can also use cooling vests in the car. Keep their folds and ears clean regularly. Look after their allergies through a good diet and through cytopoint injections for environmental allergies. Protect their eyes and feed them a good diet so they're not really gassy and farting all the time. Brush their teeth once a day and consider BOA surgery if they need it. Give them lots of companionship. Don't leave them home alone for long periods of time, and be prepared for very large vet bills. I hope that this was helpful. Like I say, I'm not a professional. I'm just sharing what I've learned as a Frenchie owner. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments if you have any other Frenchie tips that you think are essential for looking after a Frenchie. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye.